Welcome back to my 500,000 amazing subscribers. So good to see you guys again. Let me know in the comments where you are watching from and how you're doing today. In today's video, we are going to continue learning English with a book, The Secret Garden. As you can see, we've already finished chapters 1 and 2, which you can find on my channel if you would like to watch those as well. Today, we're going to read chapter 3, paraphrasing, explaining, taking notes line by line to improve our English reading, listening, vocabulary, and even speaking skills. So guys, make sure you watch till the end of this video. And look at this. I have a bonus activity for us today. I wanted us to learn even more from these videos. So I decided to add vocabulary bingo to the story today. What I'm going to try and do is find a way to use each of these 9 words and expressions, idioms, as we go through the chapter. Let's see if we can get all 9. Guys, go ahead, click like on this video, and let's get started. Remember, in chapters 1 and 2, we met a little girl named Mary Lennox. How would you describe this little girl? How would you describe her? I would say she's very selfish, self-centered, right? She only cares about herself. She is 9 years old. She was born in India. Even though she's British, she was not born in England, right? She was born in India to very wealthy parents. What's another way we could say wealthy? Very rich parents. Now, her parents didn't really want her, right? So after her parents and most of the servants died of a disease, they found Mary alone in their big house, right? Disease killed her parents, killed the servants, the people who worked to take care of her and her family, right? A disease called cholera killed them, and she was sent to England to live with an uncle, her uncle named Mr. Archibald Craven. He's a pretty mysterious guy. Mysterious, meaning we don't know very much about him, right? He lives in this big, gloomy manor, a big house, a very gloomy, it's a great word, gloomy, or kind of dark and depressing house called Misselthwaite Manor. Misselthwaite Manor, that's the house he lives in. So on her way to England, Mary learns from the housekeeper named Mrs. Medlock some more about her uncle. She learns more about Archibald from Mrs. Medlock. She learns that he's a hunchback. He doesn't have good posture. His back is hunched over. And she learns that he lost his wife 10 years ago. And now he is a recluse. Remember this word? Recluse. A recluse. That means he doesn't leave his house. He stays inside, right? Okay. So right now, Mary is still on the train. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in here. Okay, here we go. She slept a long time, and when she awakened, when she woke up, Mrs. Medlock, remember that's the housekeeper of her new house, the woman who takes care of the house. Mrs. Medlock had bought a lunch basket at one of the stations, and they had some chicken and cold beef and bread and butter and some hot tea. So they're on the train having lunch. Sounds like a pretty good lunch, right? Chicken, beef, bread and butter, some hot tea. Sounds like a very British lunch, doesn't it? I wonder if we could use one of our bingo words here. You know, as Mary is on this train, I bet she is pondering her new life, thinking deeply about her new life. Yeah, what is she pondering on this train? What is she thinking about? She's probably pondering her new life, thinking about Misselthwaite Manor, this mysterious uncle of hers, you know, what her life is gonna be like, right? Okay. She's pondering on this train, thinking deeply. Now they're having lunch. The rain seemed to be streaming down more heavily than ever. The rain is really dumping, we can say. Guys, there's going to be a lot of antiquated language in this book, old language, but I'm going to try and use my words to make it modern, okay? Make it modern, make it new. So sometimes we say, man, it's really dumping outside. The rain is really dumping down. Everybody in the station wore wet and glistening waterproofs. Glistening meaning maybe shining because it's wet. Glistening, shining, okay? So they're at this station, this train station. The guard lighted the lamps in the carriage, the train box, the train room, and Mrs. Medlock cheered up very much over her tea and chicken and beef. So she's feeling better, I guess, Mrs. Medlock. She's kind of an intense woman, isn't she? She's a bit intense, very serious. She doesn't like to joke around, but looks like she is cheering up a little bit. Okay, that's good. She's looking a bit more positive. She ate a great deal. She ate a lot, and afterwards fell asleep herself. So the housekeeper fell asleep, and Mary sat and stared at her, looked at her very intensely, stared at her, and watched her fine bonnet slip on one side until she herself fell asleep once more in the corner of the carriage. She was lulled, great word, lulled by the splashing of the rain against the windows. What does it mean if you are lulled? Usually we say lulled to sleep. Lulled to sleep. That means something makes you feel calm, relaxed, sleepy. For example, the gentle music lulled the baby to sleep, right? So the rain splashing makes her kind of doze off. That's another great way to say fall asleep. Have you guys heard that before? Doze off, doze off. It was quite dark when she awakened again. The train had stopped at a station. Mrs. Medlock was shaking her, trying to wake her up. "You have had a sleep," she said, It's time to open your eyes. We're at Thwaite Station, and we've got a long drive before us. Okay? So first they were on the train. Now they're going to take, maybe a horse? We'll see what they do next. Mary stood up and tried to keep her eyes open while Mrs. Medlock collected her parcels. Maybe her suitcase, a few packages. Normally, when we use parcel, we're talking about a package. Like if you got a package in the mail, got a parcel in the mail. The little girl did not offer to help her because in India, native servants always picked up or carried things, and it seemed quite proper that other people should wait on one. Wait on one, she means wait on her, okay? So remember that Mary is very spoiled. We might even say she's spoiled rotten. Spoiled rotten, right? People do everything for her, so she doesn't really offer to help. Pretty rude. I don't know about you guys, how you were raised, but the way I was raised, my parents always told me, you should offer to help if you see someone that needs help, especially your elder, someone older than you, right? If you're a little kid, you see an older person struggling. What's that mean? Struggling? Having a hard time? You should offer to give them, what's another way to say help? Give them assistance, right? The station was a small one, and nobody but themselves seemed to be getting out of the train. They are the only passengers getting off the train. The station master spoke to Mrs. Medlock in a rough, good-natured way, pronouncing his words in a queer, broad fashion, which Mary found out afterwards was Yorkshire. Okay, so they're in this place in England called Yorkshire, and they speak in kind of a different way, in a queer way to Mary, in a strange way. Now, guys, as you know, I am American, okay? So I'm not even going to try to attempt this accent. I will not even attempt. No, instead, I think I'm going to cut corners a little bit. I'm going to skip the accent completely and just read it with my American accent. Now, you know, maybe I could put some effort and some energy into learning the accent, do it right, read it the right way, but I'm going to cut corners. I'm going to cut corners here and do it the easy way. That's what cut corners means, right? Do something the easy way. Take the easy way out. Let's see here. I see thou's got back. So I see you're back, he said, and thou's brought the young'un with thee. Oh my gosh, that must be so confusing for you guys. This is why you need an English teacher to read it with you, to explain these things. What do you guys think this means? And thus brought the young'un with thee. And you brought the young one with you, right? Basically, he's like, oh, you're back and you've got a kid with you. Great. I, that's her. I means yes, that's correct, answered Mrs. Medlock, speaking with a Yorkshire accent herself, and jerking, great word, jerking her head over her shoulder towards Mary. How's thy missus? So she jerks her head. She moves it sharply and suddenly. Basically, she motions towards Mary, motions at Mary. She gestures with her head, gestures. She kind of acknowledges Mary, right? She's saying, oh yeah, she's here. I know she's here. That's acknowledging, right? Acknowledging. She acknowledges Mary and she says, how's thy missus? How is your wife? Thy is like I guess a Yorkshire way of saying your, right? But it's also just an old-fashioned way of talking. Well, now, the carriage is waiting outside for thee. Well, now, I guess that's well enough. In other words, she's doing well. She's good. The carriage is waiting outside for thee. Looks like we have a horse-drawn carriage. It's like a little room you sit in, and the room is pulled by horses, right? Like a little car that's pulled by horses. Okay, what is this word here? You can say broom, you can say brougham. It means an old-fashioned horse-drawn carriage with 4 wheels. I actually had to look this word up. Yeah, I had never seen this word before. Usually we would say a carriage, a horse-drawn carriage. You don't see those very much these days, do you? You don't see these very often in the year 2026. So anyway, this carriage stood on the road before the little outside platform where you get off the train or on the train. That's the train platform, right? Mary saw that it was a smart carriage and that it was a smart footman who helped her in. His long waterproof coat and the waterproof covering of his hat were shining and dripping with rain as everything was, the burly station master included. Okay, so a smart footman, a smart carriage, meaning they're looking good, maybe they're a bit expensive, right? I guess this carriage was sent by her uncle. The carriage was sent by her uncle, Archibald Craven, and we know he is a very wealthy man, right? So this is maybe a small epiphany that Mary is having about her uncle. She wasn't expecting an expensive looking carriage. She wasn't expecting the man who drives the carriage to be looking so fancy, right? She knew her uncle had money, but it was kind of a vague idea. Vague. What's that mean? Vague. An unclear idea, right? But now she's having an epiphany, a sudden moment of realization. Yeah, she's realizing, whoa, you know what? My uncle is pretty, I'll teach you a funny word, loaded. Have you guys heard this before? Loaded. That means you have a lot of money. She's thinking, oh my God, he's kind of loaded, maybe even more loaded than my parents. Remember, her parents were very well off. Well off. Her parents had money as well. They were rich, but maybe they weren't as loaded as Archibald Craven, her uncle. So now Mary is starting to see the bigger picture. Yeah, understand the overall situation. She's realizing that her uncle has some money, all right? Okay. It's raining. She's getting into this expensive-looking carriage. Everything is drip, drip, dripping with rain. The station master, the burly station master. Great word to know, burly, meaning he's really tough. Maybe he has muscles. Maybe he is muscular. Muscular. He has big muscles, right? He's burly, tough, and muscly. He's dripping with rain. Everything is dripping with rain. Okay? When he shut the door, mounted the box with the coachman, and they drove off, the little girl found herself seated in a comfortably cushioned corner. She's in a corner of this coach, of this car being pulled by horses, right? It's comfortably cushioned. Maybe cushioned, we could also say padded. It's soft. There are like pillows that you sit on, pads, cushions, right? It's comfortable, but she was not inclined to go to sleep again. She was not inclined. Yeah, she wasn't interested in going to sleep again. She doesn't want to do that, in other words. She sat and looked out of the window, curious to see something of the road over which she was being driven to the queer, strange, weird place Mrs. Medlock had spoken of. Yeah, she's starting to get a bit curious, and she wants to alleviate her curiosity. Oh, alleviate means make something less severe, less intense. You can alleviate pain, make pain go away. You can alleviate a problem, make a problem go away. In this situation, she wants to alleviate her curiosity. In other words, she wants to see this mansion already. A mansion. Mansion. A big, expensive, fancy house. Right? Okay, so they're driving. She's curious. She wants to know more. She was not at all a timid child. Timid meaning shy, not very extroverted, maybe kind of nervous and shy. So she's not timid. And she was not exactly frightened. She's not scared. But she felt that there was no knowing what might happen in a house with 100 rooms, nearly all shut up, a house standing on the edge of a moor. Okay? So she is not willing to admit that she is anxious, nervous, scared, afraid. She's a bit stubborn, right? She's a bit stubborn, even to herself. She is not willing to admit she feels that way. But, I think a part of her does feel that way. I think maybe it's a subtle feeling. Yeah, hard to notice. That's a good way of thinking about subtle. A small part of her, a part that's hard to notice, is feeling nervous, is feeling anxious, afraid, right? But it's there. She's going to this big, scary house on the edge of a moor. We learned this last time. Do you guys remember what a moor is? This is something you see in the English countryside, out in the countryside of certain areas of England. Basically, it's a big, large area with wild land. The grass is really gruff. gruff and rough and, well, not meticulously maintained. The grass is not meticulously maintained. You know, if you go to an expensive mansion, a fancy, big, expensive house, you might see that the lawn of the house, the grass, the hedges, the bushes, the trees outside of the house, those things are meticulously maintained, meaning they are taken care of very carefully, very precisely, very accurately, right? But if you look at a moor, no one is taking care of that land. No one is taking care of that area, right? It's overgrown. That's a good word. Overgrown. The grasses are tall and wild. There's wild plants everywhere. So, you know, is this a super useful word to know? Maybe not, but it helps you imagine the setting of the story even more vividly. Great word, vividly, even more clearly. Okay? What is a moor? She said suddenly to Mrs. Medlock. Oh, okay. Mary doesn't know what it is either. Look out of the window in about 10 minutes and you will see, the woman answered. We've got to drive 5 miles across Moor before we get to the manor. You won't see much because it's a dark night, but you can see something. Okay, so it's dark out. Mrs. Medlock is saying, look around if you want to know what a moor is. I'm not going to explain it to you. Remember, she's a very cold woman. Yeah, she is not so personable. Yeah, she is not personable. If someone's personable, they're friendly, they're easy to talk to. You can get along well with them, right? Well, she is not so personable. She's like, just use your eyes and look around and you will know. Yikes. I mean, she could have just explained, right? She didn't have to be so cold about it. Mary asked no more questions, but waited in the darkness of her corner, keeping her eyes on the window. She's waiting, she's looking. The carriage lamps cast rays of light a little distance ahead of them, and she caught glimpses, great word, of the things they passed. Okay, so just imagine this scene. The carriage is probably going over a dirt road or a cobblestone road, a rocky road. It's probably what? Bumpy. It's probably a bumpy ride. Outside is dark. And even if you could see, the only thing around is wilderness. Yeah, the moor, wild grasses and plants. And there are these lamps casting rays of light. There's a ray, there's a ray, there's a ray. Maybe we could say beams of light. Okay, kind of like a flashlight casts a beam of light. It illuminates the space a little distance ahead of them. It illuminates that space or lights it up, but just a little bit, right? I mean, these are not like the headlights of a car. The light is pretty what? What's another way we could say the light is weak? Starts with a D. Do you guys know it? the light is very dim, bright and dim. Okay? All right. So she's catching glimpses of things as they go along. Catching glimpses. A glimpse is a quick look. A quick look. Maybe we could say a passing look, right? After they had left the station, they had driven through a tiny village, not many people living there in this small, kind of like a very small town. A village is even smaller than a town, right? Much smaller than a city. And she had seen whitewashed cottages. A cottage is like a cute little house. Whitewashed means, painted white, maybe bleached white by the sun, looking clean and bright. And the lights of a public house. Then they had passed a church and a vicarage and a little shop window. What is a vicarage? That is the house where a church minister called a vicar lives. What is a vicar? You're not going to use this word very much. A vicar is basically in charge of a church and the parish, meaning the community of people who go to that church. So a religious man lives in this house, basically. She sees that. She sees a little shop window, or so, maybe more than one, in a cottage with toys and sweets and odd things set out for sale. Odd things, meaning knickknacks, this and that, little random things, right? Then they were on the high road, and she saw hedges and trees. A hedge is like a row of bushes planted in a line, in a row, right? Row of bushes. After that, there seemed nothing different for a long time. So everything looked the same, or at least it seemed a long time to her. This is kind of funny. I like this detail. To little kids, the passing of time can feel excruciating. Ooh, $10 word. Do you guys know this word, excruciating? Really painful, right? Really difficult to deal with. Feels like time is crawling by, dragging, going so slow, right? At last, the horses began to go more slowly. They slowed down, as if they were climbing uphill, going up. And presently, or now, there seemed to be no more hedges and no more trees. She could see nothing, in fact, but a dense darkness on either side. A dense darkness, meaning the darkness is very thick, very intense. Maybe, to use a big word, we could say impenetrable. Impenetrable, meaning cannot be penetrated, cannot be broken. A solid, there's another good word, a solid darkness, right? She leaned forward and pressed her face against the window just as the carriage gave a big jolt, big bump, a big lurch. Moves like that, moves suddenly. "Yeah, we're on the moor now, sure enough," said Mrs. Medlock. "Here we are, right?" The carriage lamps shed a yellow light on a rough-looking road, which seemed to be cut through bushes and low-growing things, which ended in the great expanse of dark. Great expanse, like a big sea of darkness, right? Kind of like an ocean of dark, stretching on and on, apparently spread out and around them. So looks like it's spread out and around them, apparently, right? A wind was rising, going up, and making a singular, wild, low, rushing sound. Wow, so vivid. You know, the writing in this book really is beautiful. It really paints a stunning picture, paints a captivating picture. Yeah, the writing is really captivating, really grabs your attention and fires up your imagination. It's not the sea, is it? Said Mary, looking round at her companion. Her partner, the person with her, companion. No, not it, answered Mrs. Medlock. Nor it isn't fields nor mountains. Nor meaning it also isn't fields, it also isn't mountains. It's just miles and miles and miles of wild land that nothing grows on but heather and gorse and broom. What are these things? Heather, gorse, broom. These are like little plants, little flowers. Heather has like small purple and pink flowers. Gorse is like a bush with yellow flowers and sharp thorns. Gorse has thorns. They will poke you. If you touch it, you could get cut. It could cut you, could poke you. Broom is a wild shrub, a little plant, small yellow flowers. Okay, so just a couple of the plants you can see growing here on this moor, heather, gorse, broom. I think these are pretty tough plants. Nothing lives on but wild ponies and sheep. Wow, there are wild ponies and sheep on the moor. You know, a pony is like a small horse, right? A pony. Okay. I feel as if it might be the sea, the ocean. If there were water on it, said Mary. It sounds like the sea just now. So she's saying the wind reminds her of the sound of ocean waves. That's the wind blowing through the bushes, Mrs. Medlock said. It's a wild, dreary enough place to my mind, though there's plenty that likes it, particularly when the heather's in bloom. So this flower, when it's in bloom, maybe it looks beautiful. Particularly, great word. So there are people that like the area, and they particularly like it when heather's in bloom. Maybe we could say especially. On and on they drove through the darkness, and though the rain stopped, the wind rushed by and whistled and made strange sounds. The wind is whistling, making maybe high-pitched sounds or high-pitch sounds. The road went up and down, and several times the carriage passed over a little bridge beneath which water rushed very fast with a great deal of noise. With a great deal of noise. The water is making lots of noise. Mary felt as if the drive would never come to an end. It feels endless. Remember, it's feeling excruciating. Time is really crawling by. She's going a little bonkers. That's a funny word to know. She's going a little bonkers, a little bit crazy. She doesn't know when this will end. The moor is bleak, kind of depressing. It was a wide expanse of black ocean through which she was passing on a strip of dry land. So it kind of feels like she's isolated in the middle of a great big ocean. I don't like it, she said to herself. I don't like it. And she pinched her thin lips more tightly together. Uh-oh. Seems like Mary has found herself in a bit of a predicament. She's in a bit of a predicament. A difficult or awkward situation, right? Because if you don't like it, that's really bad news. This is your new home. This is where you are going to grow up, right? So if you don't like it, that's not good. That's a bad situation. The horses were climbing up a hilly piece of road when she first caught sight of a light. Oh, she caught a glimpse of a light. Mrs. Medlock saw it as soon as she did and drew a long sigh of relief. Yeah, it's funny how she talks like this. I don't know why she says that. I'm glad to see that bit of light twinkling, shining faintly. Maybe we could say dimly, faintly, weakly, she exclaimed. It's the light in the lodge window. We shall get a good cup of tea after a bit, at all events. Okay, so she's ready to have more tea. A lodge is like a small house at the entrance to a large property where maybe a gatekeeper lives. Kind of like a gatehouse. Gatehouse. It was after a bit, as she said, for when the carriage passed through the park gates, there was still 2 miles of avenue to drive through. Wow, so even after getting past this lodge, this gatehouse, or at least they got through the gates of the estate, there were still 2 miles. So this place is huge, right? And the trees, which nearly met overhead above her, made it seem as if they were driving through a long, dark vault, kind of like a locked up, protected, enclosed space, a locked up space. We're almost done, guys. Keep pushing. They drove out of the vault into a clear space and stopped before an immensely long but low-built house, which seemed to ramble round a stone court. To ramble around, maybe kind of go in an unorganized way. It doesn't look neat or tidy. It looks a little bit sloppy, right? Messy. At first, Mary thought that there were no lights at all in the windows, but as she got out of the carriage, she saw that one room in a corner upstairs showed a dull glow. Dull glow, or a dim glow. A weak glow, right? The entrance door was a huge one made of massive, curiously shaped panels or boards, pieces, big pieces, panels of oak. a kind of tree, studded with big iron nails and bound with great iron bars. So basically, there's a huge, impressive door. It opened into an enormous hall, big room, which was so dimly lighted that the faces in the portraits on the walls and the figures in the suits of armor made Mary feel that she did not want to look at them. Interesting. This place is huge. The light is very weak. In these portraits, these pictures of people, the people in the paintings, the suits of armor, they don't look very welcoming. She's probably scared, right? She's probably freaked out. As she stood on the stone floor, she looked a very small, odd little black figure, and she felt as small and lost and odd as she looked. Okay, so, she's standing there looking so very, what could we say? Maybe minuscule, small and maybe insignificant, not important, tiny, weak, vulnerable would be a great word. Do you guys know that one? Vulnerable, meaning you do not have good defenses. You are open to attack. You are weak. She is looking tiny compared to this massive, massive place. A neat, thin old man stood near the manservant who opened the door for them. Wow, so he has several people on the staff, several people working. I wonder how many people. "You are to take her to her room," he said in a husky voice, kind of a rough voice. Not a smooth, beautiful voice. No. Rough, coarse. He doesn't want to see her. He's going to London in the morning. Wow. Not exactly a warm welcome, is it? Not exactly welcoming Mary with open arms, right? In fact, he's making her feel very unwelcome. He's going to London in the morning. He doesn't even want to greet her. Then keep in mind, this is a little kid, a very impressionable little kid, right? In other words, very sensitive to the world around. And it would go a long way if he would come down and say hello, make her feel welcomed, greet her, say hello, right? A little goes a long way. A small action means a lot, but he won't even do that. "Very well, Mr. Pitcher." Oh, I guess that's the servant's name here, this old man, Mr. Pitcher. Mrs. Medlock answered. "So long as I know what's expected of me, I can manage." So she's like, "What do you want me to do? And I'll do it. Just tell me what you want." "What's expected of you, Mrs. Medlock," Mr. Pitcher said, "is that you make sure that he's not disturbed." What's another way to say that? Not bothered, right? And that he doesn't see what he doesn't want to see. Oh my God, this guy, this old man is very particular. Very particular. He wants things done his way, right? Done exactly his way. And then Mary Lennox was led up or taken up a broad staircase, very wide wide, the staircase. And down a long corridor or a hallway or a hall, and up a short flight of steps and through another corridor and another. Wow. Until a door opened in a wall, and she found herself in a room with a fire in it and a supper on a table. Oh, that's kind of nice. At least there's food waiting for her and a warm fire, right? I can imagine nights on the moor get very frigid, very cold, right? So it would be important to light a fire. Okay. Mrs. Medlock said, unceremoniously. Ooh, that's hard to say. Say that with me. Unceremoniously. Unceremoniously, basically an impolite way or a rude way. She said, well, here you are. This room and the next are where you'll live, and you must keep to them. In other words, stay in your room. Keep to them. Don't you forget that. My God, all these people are so mean. It was in this way Mistress Mary arrived at Misselthwaite Manor, and she had perhaps never felt quite so contrary in all her life. Wow. So she is really, I'll teach you guys a great expression here. She's really out of her element. What does that mean? If you are out of your element, that means you are in a situation that you are not used to. You feel uncomfortable in this situation because it is so unfamiliar to you. All right, guys, that's the end of the chapter. Let's check our bingo card here. We got ponder. We got to cut corners, meticulous, predicament, to see the bigger picture, subtle, alleviate, epiphany. The only one we didn't get is obsolete, meaning something is outdated. It's no longer useful. We could also say antiquated. I used that word earlier in the video. Antiquated. Good word to know. Okay. What is something from this chapter that seemed obsolete to you? Well, how about the horse-drawn carriage? That's outdated. People don't use it anymore, right? So it's obsolete. Guys, if you made it all the way through this video, thank you so much. I'd like to take a second and just give you a little personal update. What I've been doing recently. I was really happy to see that today, the day I'm recording this, the channel hit 500,000 subs. That's amazing. If you like my channel, if it's working for you, if you want to support me even more, you should become a channel member. Click the join button, and it's only $1. You get access to hours of extra videos. You get PDFs. You get early access. You can see my videos before anyone else. And most importantly, it supports me, right? YouTube barely pays me anything for my videos, so I really rely on my members to keep me going. So maybe become a member if you're not already. Big thank you to everyone who is already a member. Guys, right now, I am getting ready to go into work for my very last day of work at my current job. I can't believe it. I've been at this job for 3 years, doing YouTube on the side. And these 3 years have really flown by. Yeah, they've gone by so fast. I can't believe my time there is coming to an end, but it is. And after today, after the classes I'll teach today, I'm going to have 2 weeks off. So I'm trying to decide what to do with 2 weeks of free time. How about you guys let me know down in the comments what you would do if you had 2 whole weeks of free time. Would you take a trip? Would you just relax? What would you get up to? Yeah, what would you get up to? What would you do? I want to say thanks again for all of your support with this series so far. It's been really fun. If the videos keep doing well, I'll keep making them. So I'll see you guys again, hopefully very, very soon.